Real estate is a results oriented business. When people hire me, when attorneys hire me or estates hire me, they're hiring me to get a job done. They're not hiring me to do the best I can or to follow just a set of procedures. They have a problem, usually involves real estate, and they need me to or my team also to help get the results they're looking for. What do I mean by that? I think that many real estate agents talk about problems and try to avoid them. And what I can tell you is I know as a real estate broker myself who's been successful in his business, the money I receive, my compensation is a reflection of the value I create for the client. And usually that's solving problems. I'm excited. We just closed a property that was just full of challenges. A probate. It was in Carson on Scudder Court. And I just was surprised. I was reviewing my notes as we finished up. We had 15 problems that might have prevented many agents who didn't know what to do to get this property sold. And yet, we got it sold. We got our client a fantastic outcome. In fact, let me list for you the problems. Number one, the property got listed by an agent without the approval of the seller. Now, the seller is an estate, and it was a disabled woman. She was, I think, um, uh, deaf, but her daughter would help her with things. But somehow the property got listed without their approval. Not sure really how it happened, but it was in the MLS. Even though there were squatters in there, the property wasn't ready to sell. And I think the agent's intention, she works with an investor, was to buy the property on the cheap. They went to list it at $450,000. The property was worth close to $600,000. The attorney called me to say, "How can I help?" That was a problem number one. Number two, the seller was out of state. They were 3 hours away. Makes things more complicated. Number three, the seller is disabled. And the daughter who's helping her had a full-time job, so she was limited with her time to be able to help with things. Number four, there was a squatter. It was a whole legal situation of a woman who claimed to have the right to be in the property. But I don't mean just a squatter. We had drugs involved, we had criminals involved. It was a mess. Number five, this squatter embezzled funds. She got the decedent's ATM card before he passed, and after he passed, was withdrawing funds until the bank caught up with him. So we had to figure out how to deal with that situation. Number six, insurance. The property needs to have insurance, or else it could risk being burned down and the seller loses all their assets. So we had to figure out how to get insurance on the property in that situation. Number seven, we had to remove items for the property. And some items were so big, they had a concrete wall with a limited pass. We'd actually remove some of the wall to get some old motorcycles and other equipment out of the property. We had to get that done somehow. Number eight, we had to trash out the property, had all kinds of junk in it. Number nine, in addition to junk, we had pests, we had rodents, we had cats living in the property. It was a mess. We had rotted food everywhere. Number 10, once we got the junk out, we had to have an estate sale because there was valuable items to my client, which ended up giving her cash to pay for some of the things we had to do, including number 11, there were guns in the house. Now, the guns can be dangerous, but the guns are also could be valuable. In this case, my seller got a nice chunk of cash by us arranging for the sale of the gun to a licensed firearms dealer. However, number 12, one of the guns had the serial numbers filed off. Can't sell that, can't transfer that. So we were able to get that to law enforcement in a safe way that protected everybody. And there was no crime involved, and then one more gun off the street. Number 13, there was equipment in the house that the client wanted to store that the other family members who could have been objectors and held up our case said, well, we want this equipment because our father worked on it. It's important to us. So we had to find a way to get the equipment out of the house and get it in storage so the other family members can see it. Number 14, their personal effects. The decedent was a war veteran, a war hero, not just a veteran, but a hero. He had all kinds of awards and things that were important to the family to save. So we had to find a way to gather the personal effects with a squatter in there and get them stored for multiple family members to come visit at a later time. Number 15, the client didn't have the money to manage all this. They didn't have the cash. And so you're talking about, $10,000, $15,000 of expenses that had to be managed. In fact, I just missed number 16. They need to arrange for a storage. There was a storage facility nearby, but somebody has to open the account, get the money there, and then move the things in, get it locked up, and get the keys to the client. So we had 16 problems that we solved. And at the end of the day, we got all that done. And my client sold the property for $599. So we got them at least an extra $149,000 more than the other agent attempted, even to list the property at. And it's done, cash wired today, customers happy, attorneys happy. So real estate's a results-oriented business, but often requires solving problems, particularly in probate and legal litigation type real estate. That's what we do every single day. If you have those problems, if I can help you, call me, text me, email me. My contact info is below. And as always, make today